to listen to the Lap Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 190 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd. Episode 190. It is the 10-show countdown kickoff to episode 200. Wow, cannot believe episode 200 is a mere 10 shows away. I did something big for episode 100, so I might have to live up to that hype all over again here in about 10 shows. So look forward to being able to put something together for you guys for that. Hope you all had a great weekend. Hope you all had a fantastic 4th of July. It was blazing hot up here all weekend, and it's going to be blazing hot all week. We've been in the mid to upper 90s. Surprisingly, though, as hot as it was, we didn't even get a pop-up storm or anything like that, which was nice. Kick things off Thursday night, hanging out, getting ready for a COVID-friendly outdoor barbecue on Saturday. Smoked 17 pounds of pulled pork, pasta salad, all that good stuff, Jell-O shots, oversized beer pong games. Lindsay found that on Amazon, so I was out there cutting up wood to Velcro these oversized cups to wood. Definitely needed adult supervision with that. She found one of these giant unicorn sprinklers for the kids, and of course, you're not going to find me at a party without cornhole. So had a great time for the 4th of July, and hey, we had some racing this weekend. Indy. NASCAR, you name it. It was not your typical Indy race, though, as they ran the road course. We had the double on Saturday, which was awesome. Love the crossover thing. Can't wait to get into that a little bit more later on in the show. And then, of course, we had the Kissing of the Bricks, the Brickyard 400 on Sunday. So can't wait to talk about that. Hope you guys enjoyed last week's show with Greg from Off Access Paint and Dave Santia, local Michigan speed painter, in a show dedicated to painting. Who would have thought? Definitely something a little different. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Go check it out if you haven't already. Got a great show lined up for you guys tonight. Maybe somebody you're not too familiar with, but his name is Briar Starr. He's been on the show before. He's from Speedwaymedia, and we're going to have some fun talking Indy. We're going to mix in some truck, even though we didn't talk truck, and have a good time with that. Recap, like I said, Indy. Got social media shout-outs. Brian will be on a little later with your weather, Lucky Dog Lap Down, and fantasy to close it out. Did I or did I not shit the bed? Let's just call it what it is. We'll see what happens a little later on in the show. With that said, let's get things started. Let's get Briar Starr on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his third appearance on the Lap Traffic Podcast. He is a writer for Speedwaymedia.com. He's a PR rep for hire, and he might like the truck series even more than I do, if that's possible. Welcome back to the show, Briar Starr. Sir, what's going on, man? How are you?
I am doing great. Glad that, trucks are somewhat back full in action after, the hiatus a little bit. And like we were talking about a little bit ago, a lot of motorsports action to keep up with. So just trying to keep up with what's all going on right now.
There is a lot going on for nothing going on. It's kind of what it seems like. That is like the most double negative. I think that needs to be turned into a T-shirt. A lot going on with nothing going on.
And I know it's kind of funny, like, I guess it's not funny, but it's just like a coincidence where, all this stuff started happening in March, and, like, we went with, like, 2 weeks with, like, nothing, there's nothing announced, and, like, man, when is there going to be races back? And, like, we were clamoring for racing, to be back, and it's like, now in the summertime, I was warning everybody, it's like, you better be ready for the summer because we're going to have all these different types of motorsports, double headers and all of this stuff. And it's like, now it's like, everybody's like, oh, when's the season going to be over,
right.
So
we are definitely getting our fill worth. Well, and it's funny you mentioned like the whole March thing, because I know you and I talked via text, like back right when the first season started and all that. And it was like, yeah, let's get a couple truck races under the belt and, get you on and talk some trucks. And then, everything hit the fan there. And it's like, well, this just kind of lined up this week to work out. And, even though there wasn't a race, we still got lots we can talk about and kind of expand on the truck series. So I'm looking forward to that.
Right, and and just like the whole pandemic thing, unfortunately, threw like a wrench in the schedule because like I was looking forward to getting to Kansas in May to watch the trucks and all that sort of stuff and cover it, and and then because it was only like probably like a month and a half before that when it started, and then Kansas was postponed until later this month, and it's just like, man, this really sucks.
Yeah, no, so, it's I'm waiting for the next schedule release to see, I assume Michigan's going to be on there. Are they going to get the date that was scheduled for them? It's possible, is things going to, Michigan's kind of been back on a little upward trend a little bit, are things going to be open that, I might be considered on the list, so I'm with you. I'm like, come on, let's get things rolling here, man. How was your quarantine? Are you guys still under quarantine? What'd you do to occupy your time when there wasn't motorsports to cover?
Well, what I did was just try to be, as a rider, you're always looking for things to write about, even when there's no racing going on. And sometimes that can be really hard, and so I've kind of been coming up with these first seasons things where I've been, and I'm sure you've seen them,
yep,
where I interview like some, retired NASCAR drivers on their first season in NASCAR or their rookie season. Even if they only did 20 races out of the full schedule, that's still almost a complete season. And just kind of, getting their thoughts on their rookie year. What would they do differently, now that they know, compared to many years ago. And I got to interview, Casey Kane and Tony Stewart, which was a blast.
That was a really good piece, man. Really good.
Yeah, I am really proud of that piece. It was a really popular piece, and I just I couldn't believe you kind of, I don't get starstruck all that much, but when you're talking to these people and am I really talking to Tony Stewart? So it was kind of like that moment. That was pretty cool. And then I also got to interview one of the racing legends, Mario Andretti, over that topic. It was for a month there, I was, doing pretty good when there was no racing on, and I was getting all these legends and all that, and talking about the rookie years that happened, it's hard to believe. It's 40 years, for
sure,
some of them, 40 years ago. So it was just really interesting to get, their perspective now compared to when they were first entering in the sport. So, and I'm still trying, to work on that. I know now that racing is back and such, and so we have other things, recaps and all of that to work on. But I'm still trying to get to where, it's a different subject to where it's something new where, the drivers have not been interviewed about that before. So, and sometimes it's really hard when there's a driver I want to interview, and I know you probably know how it is, or if they don't have social media, you have to track them down the old way, and it's very hard to do that, but so far I've been pretty successful with it, and that's pretty much how I spent the whole month, I guess, in April, or late March and April without the racing, so...
That's awesome. That sounds like a great kind of series to do, December, January in the off season. Something to keep people on a hook, so to speak. Like a 5 or 6 week series during the off season to something unique that maybe other media members aren't doing. That sounds like an awesome kind of thing to maybe follow up back with, in December, January, or something like that. That's really cool. That's a nice little series you got to go in there. That's really cool. So
just trying. Yeah, I was just gonna follow up on what you were saying. Just trying to get all these different retirees or future retirees. So
that's awesome. How was your 4th of July, man? Do anything fun?
4th of July, it was busy with racing, as we all know. Friday we had the ARCA race, so had to, cover that, I think, which was at Lucas Oil Raceway Park Friday night. And then the IndyCar race on Saturday, and then the Xfinity race was Saturday, and then I wanted to catch the IMSA race from Daytona Saturday night, but I just never got around to it. Watched some parts and bits today, but just 4th of July. We all think we're going to have a break, but then the racing's like, no, you're not going to have a break. We're going to have all these different series of racing throughout the day you have to watch. So
that's cool, man. No, I'm with you there. Yeah, I'll be honest. I had to go back and watch the Xfinity race Sunday morning because we had a little gathering and all that kind of stuff, and I had it on. I'd catch like a lap here or there as I was going in and out of the house or whatever, setting up and all that kind of stuff. But I could not watch, and the same thing with the Indy race. I went back and watched that Sunday morning. So, I get, and we can get into this when we get to the Cup Series a little bit as far as the start time goes, but it worked out for me in terms of being able to catch up on everything that went on Saturday. But I get the whole late start thing, and like I said, we can talk about that a little bit later. I want to talk to you about this for a minute because I think it's not funny, but I chuckled when I read your Twitter profile as it says PR for hire. And I know you and a lot of other people are out there looking to break into the sport from that regard. You working with Speedwaymedia.com. You just rattled off a great piece and series that you're working on as far as, trying to bring some of the old retirees back into the limelight for a piece. What has the PR process been like trying to get into the sport from that side? Have you, is it hurting you that you're not in the Charlotte area? Have you been able to talk to teams? How has COVID impacted the whole search and all that kind of stuff? How's that whole process been like for you?
So, from a standpoint, it's very hard to break into the sport, and and I have a few connections. I always make sure when I go to the track before the COVID stuff hit, I would try to meet with all the PR and, if not most of them, and just let them know, who I am and try to make a connection, from that standpoint to be like, well, hey, I want to maybe potentially, work, would you happen to know anyone that could be looking for, somebody? Sure. And I always made sure, yes, I still got my job done at the track, but I also made sure that, instead of, being in the media center all day, to make connections at the track. We all know that's very important. And so I would always do that. And then to your other questions, yes, I think it hurts that I'm not in the CLT area, as they call it, the Charlotte area. And so, but, I've always told them to say, hey, well, I'm, willing to move because it's my dream job and it's what I went to college for. And, I'm willing to, sacrifice from moving to Kansas to, North Carolina. And, yes, COVID has, impacted some of the, as with everybody right now, and because this year I was like, man, this is going to be a good year to make connections at the track. I'm going to have business cards with me, hand my business cards out. And, when the pandemic started in March, and it's like, most of the PRs are at home. Everybody's out, working from home during the races. And it's just like, man, this really, blows kind of, And so yeah, it's definitely this year. And I think everybody can agree this year it just kind of, sucks, and we kind of want, 2021 to roll around already, and, kind of already, I don't want the season to end right now, but, just kind of, end the season and look forward to a better 2021,
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, no, I'm with you. Well, and it's funny you mentioned about the media center in terms of like when you're at the track, getting your job done, so to speak, you actually work for, a .com. So you obviously have things that you need to do to meet that, requirements and things of that nature. For me, when I'm at the track, it's in. Last year was a blessing for me. I got there 6 times. I got to 6 different races, which was incredible. And, like you said, you don't just want to stay hunkered down in the media center. Those of the, Chris Knight's, Bob Pockrases of the world, if they wanted to, sleep in the media center for 72 hours, they could and get away with that. And to your point, people like us, want to get out there, want to go and be able to let someone that we talk to put a face to the 20-minute conversation they had 3 weeks ago or something along those lines. And like you said, just making those connections is invaluable, which I'm glad you said that, because I couldn't agree more with you on that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, let's talk real quick about the crossover event, and then we can get into some Truck Series stuff here. What did you think of it? Do you like that idea of the crossover with Indy NASCAR? What do you think they could have improved upon? Is there anything they could have improved upon? What would have made it better? What made it make it worse?
Well, I'm a person that I like all forms of motorsports, and I want all of them to succeed. I'm not one where I'm just NASCAR and that's it. I don't,
Sure.
I keep tabs, and sometimes it's difficult to keep tabs on what everyone's doing, what IMSA doing, what's IndyCar doing, what's the NHRA, right? Because there's just so much to keep up on, and you only have so little time of the day to do it.
Sure.
But I like IndyCar, and I'm a follower of it. And when the time permits, and when it doesn't conflict with the NASCAR schedule, sometimes they run at the same time as the trucks do, and so it's like my main job is the trucks compared to the IndyCar. But if they're not running at the same time, I watch it and I report on it, and because I like IndyCar and I want them to succeed, just like I mentioned. And so I was a fan of them, doing a crossover. I thought it worked because the Xfinity was also on the road course, not just like, hey, we're going to have this crossover, but Xfinity's going to be on the oval.
Sure.
It's just that kind of doesn't really make sense. So I thought it worked. The IndyCar race on Saturday, I don't think was, probably the best they had there in the GP that they've had for the last 6 years or so. But it was still great. You didn't know if Scott Dixon was going to, hold on to those last 20 laps or get back to the lead. Was there going to be caution? So IndyCar can be unpredictable. But the Xfinity Series was the race was pretty crazy with all those different lead changes there in the last few laps. I thought Briscoe was out of it when Allmendinger and Cindric went right on by. I was like, oh man, he's done. We're gonna have a crash for the win or something like that. So, but yeah, I thought it worked. And I think the only thing that obviously hurt it was no fans there, and that's obviously hurting the sport this year. All of the motorsports not having the fans at the track, and it's just a really bummer because I know. Penske had high hopes of when he bought the track earlier this year, where he was like, hoping to be and it was still a success, but hoping to have all these people there to enjoy the first time the NASCAR and IndyCar was crossing over. So, but other than that, I think it was, a success the first time they did it.
Absolutely. Yeah. From a viewership perspective, who wouldn't have enjoyed that? And like you said, to your point about the fans, just when you think of the possibilities that could have been there to have, I mean, and I'm talking about from walking through the gate to walking back out at the end, you've got the opportunity to maybe go buy some merchandise that you wouldn't ordinarily be going and looking for, whether you're a NASCAR fan, maybe buying an IndyCar memorabilia and vice versa. Same thing in the track. Maybe you're sitting next to somebody that's there for the Indy race, and now you make a friendship, and the same thing with once the race starts. Maybe you're there for NASCAR and you're watching Indy. Maybe you leave an Indy fan. There were so many... There was just a plethora of opportunities to be had there had fans been able to be there live to experience that. And that, I think the racing was great. I think the experience was great from a viewership perspective, which leads me to believe and hope that they're going to do that again in the future. And I just hope that all sides, whether it's the fans, concessions, the track, merchandise, and both series are able to reap the rewards of the in-person experience with that down the road.
Right. Yeah, and I agree with you there. I mean, it was just so unfortunate when, and now I know next month at the Indy 500 they're going to have limited capacity, but it was so unfortunate. It was a real big thing because we never had the IndyCar NASCAR crossover before, and it's just very, very unfortunate that there was no fans there to be able to see that. Even the commentators, I think too, were not even there at the track. So
yeah, that definitely makes it hard. That's for sure. All right, sir. What do you say we talk a little truck and some racing this past weekend from Indy?
That sounds great to me.
Excellent. All right, man. Let's talk about it. The first ever truck doubleheader coming up at your home track in Kansas in a couple weeks. Are you going to be able to go?
I was kind of, debating back and forth, and as we were talking about earlier, with kind of the garage closed off and not being able to connect with a lot of people. To me, I'm an outgoing person, and I don't, kind of like being in the one space all day. So I kind of wanted to go at first, but then now I'm just it's kind of just, no, well, maybe I'll just, watch it from afar, and, so, but I wanted to go, but maybe next year if things get back to normal and all that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I hear you there. All right, so Grant Enfinger, the only Truck Series regular to win in the series so far. Is that hurting? Is that helping? What's your take on the series so far? Obviously, year over year, early in the Truck Series, we get a bunch of Cup regulars. Kyle Busch gets his 5 out of the way real quick. So obviously, that's typically 3 to 5 wins going right to Kyle Busch early on in the series, which at the start only has a handful of races. So, what's your assessment so far on the Truck Series?
Well, I think the trucks, for an excitement standpoint, is always great. It's always great. We talked before that sometimes it's the best racing out of all of the 3 series. But this year it's kind of I don't want to say this because the pandemic was in March, and it kind of hurt the momentum a little bit at the tracks because, we had that fantastic Daytona finish. And then, of course, Kyle wins at Las Vegas, but it still wasn't easy because Sauter was in second. So, we were on a really good momentum, having fantastic finishes to start the year. But, like you said, with all that was going on, I think this year compared to last year, since we only had one regular winner, it's kind of been lackluster a little bit. I don't sound not to be mean or anything. I just saying it's from a multiple race winner standpoint compared to last year. I forget how last year seems like forever ago now, but this year we just don't have very many regular winners compared to last year. So I think, it's going to be, the playoffs that started now, it would be pretty crazy because only one person has a win, and that's, Grant Enfinger, who has definitely been on top of his game this year, but all the other 7 drivers who are in the current playoff standings don't have a win yet.
We're going to 10 this year, man, which we're going to touch upon that in a minute. But, and that's, so one of my biggest things is so like you said, we got one race winner, and if the playoffs were to start now, well, all right, you got Austin Hill who'd get 15 points. You got Grant Enfinger in second who'd get another 10 points added on top of that, right. So that it creates, man, there's such a separation gap there. And one of the other things I just kind of want to piggyback off of what you were talking about as far as lackluster, I'm with you on that. I don't think the racing's been bad. I just think because the Truck Series has been so spaced out as a whole on the schedule, now throw in an 8-week gap plus now extended breaks as well with the Truck Series. It's just like, I think some people kind of might forget it's there a little bit. And, we had that awesome momentum going in right before COVID of, and I've talked about it at length, is we had the bounty. And there was such excitement and build, and I was so happy and excited for that because it was going to draw attention. And we still had it, and we had a great couple races there with Kyle and Chase and all that, which was great. But I think that the build wasn't there for that once things started back up.
Right. Yeah, and it just seemed like everybody's like, okay, I'm excited for Xfinity Cup. Wait, there was a truck race this weekend?
Right.
And, I didn't know about it. So that's what I feel like, unless it's on at Pocono when it was all on the same day, people don't forget about that. But sometimes I still feel like, people still kind of just get spaced out, like, oh, there was a truck race this weekend? I need to go back and watch it,
Well, and I tell you, the one thing that I do like is the fact that at Kentucky this weekend, the Xfinity Series is going Thursday, Friday, which is unusual for the Xfinity Series, and the trucks are going to be Saturday night. So while people may be used to tuning in to watch the Xfinity race, maybe they missed the Thursday race. It's unusual for, like I said, Xfinity to run Thursday night. That could get missed. So there might be a casual viewer that tunes in and it's like, oh, it's the trucks. All right, I'll keep it on. So I'm hoping that a Saturday night truck race before a cup race helps things out a little bit.
Yeah, and we got the ARCA race too. So maybe if if we have fans who are just fans of ARCA only, and which ARCA does put on good racing too. I really like ARCA, but if they tune into that, they're like, oh, trucks tonight. Well, I guess I'm going to have to tune in. That way I don't have to wait another day. And I feel like that's some of the problem is, on the original schedule, a lot of these truck races are Friday night or sometimes Thursday night, sometimes Wednesday night. And people are just not used to their schedule compared to the Cup Series where we know it's always going to be on Sunday. Yes, there are some occasional Saturday night races, but, it's just, I feel like the schedule, people just don't realize, it's Friday night, but we don't know there's a truck race on.
I'm with you 100%. All right, let's wrap it up with this because I want to go on what I was talking about a couple minutes ago with the playoff expansion in the Truck Series to 10 drivers. Here's where I'm at on this. Last year at the MIS race, the last regular season race of the season, 16 regular season races in the Truck Series. Only 13 trucks ran the full season. So now we're going to let 10 guys in when we only had 13 or 14 last year run the full season to begin with. So to me, the playoffs are now, we're handing out participation spots basically to anyone that shows up each week. You got a great percentage chance of making the playoffs. I loved the fact it was only 8 drivers that really put the competition, up in full gear there, and I loved it. But I think now with the Truck Series, we're getting real close to where we're at in the Cup Series, and that's just an oversaturation when you let so many entrants into the playoffs that aren't going to go out and win the championship. Right, and
yeah, I mean, there's trucks. There's probably 9 trucks. This is just throwing it out there.
Sure.
Let's just say 9 trucks. We only have really 9 good trucks that could win every week, and that could be the same driver. Let's say Matt Crafton. Matt Crafton could be one of those 9 trucks, and he could be that same driver. He could be like Ray Enfinger this year. He could be that driver that goes out and win all those races. And so what's 10 through 5th battling for? Points? So it does not really, make a lot of sense to me. I mean, we could probably have, let's say Austin Wayne Self in that top 10 for the playoffs, but we know, he probably wouldn't make it to the championship four. He, may make it to the, final, or the round of 8. But, I just, I actually kind of forgot about that since with everything going on with the playoff extension. But I really actually kind of liked it where it was just 8 drivers only in the playoffs.
It was cutthroat, and you felt that competition there.
Right, yeah. And, you never really knew who was going to make the Final Four until the race at Phoenix was over with. Like last year, Stuart Friesen won the race at Phoenix, and he locked himself into the championship four by doing that. So, but now this year, it's like, I feel like, 10 spots are open. You can pretty much coast your way in there if you have enough points, but if points ain't going to win you a championship in these, days and age, so, it's not like it's 2003 anymore where you can win a championship on points.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's kind of like my assessment there on the playoff thing.
I'm with you 100%. All right, man. Let's move over. Let's talk a little bit Indy Xfinity racing here. We talked a little bit about it at the start here. We talked about Chase falling back. Rockets through the turn 1 and 2 there. I got to tell you, I think the way and the turns helped Chase Briscoe. If those turns were the opposite directions, I don't think Chase Briscoe's able to put those moves on like he did.
Yeah, I was very kind of amazed a little bit when wow, Chase Briscoe came back and won this race where we thought he was done. And, like you said, had this been on probably, if it was on the oval, we wouldn't have been talking about Chase Briscoe right now. He would have been back in dirty air and just settling it out for third. But like you said, with that road course where you can gain back your momentum and have some of those extra turns there where you could probably make a dive bomb move on what was Allmendinger and, Cindric, you're back into this. And, they battled each other hard, which that was a fun battle to watch. I thought, like I said earlier, I thought they were all going to wreck each other for the win. And so it was a really exciting and entertaining last few laps. And we even had, since the three was battling, Noah Gragson was coming into the mix, Justin Allgaier was coming into the mix, all these, top 10 cars were starting to come into the mix there in the final laps.
No, I'm with you. And one of the other things with the Xfinity Series, we don't have the big three like we did last year. But, man, we've got some stories that have been keeping us entertained from Briscoe trying to go for 8, which, man, at this point, he's going to surpass that. Rookie Harrison Burton doing incredibly well with 2 wins. We've got the amazing story that is Kaulig Racing. There are a lot of teams and a lot of stories to get you hooked into the Xfinity Series, even though I don't want to say Chase is going to run away with it, but at the moment he's running away with it, at least from a win perspective. But there are so many other stories that for me as a fan would get me tuned in on a Saturday afternoon to watch the Xfinity race.
Oh, yeah. And, we talked about the top runners there too, but some of the lower funded team guys, they're also having good outings too. Like, Brandon Brown, he's got 3 top 10s this year. He was having a good run there for a while.
Clements is doing pretty well.
And Ryan Sieg, he won a couple of stages this year. So that was just really, really neat to see in those last few weeks there.
Absolutely. The road course itself, I tell you, it just delivered on so many different levels for me. Everyone kind of got on Indy or the Xfinity Series from an Indy perspective when they decided to move over to race Indy itself. Just perfect to put them on the road course to kind of get those blues away from everybody as far as not running IRP. And I think that was fantastic. I think the race delivered. Obviously, the Xfinity Series is kind of used as the guinea pig when it comes to testing things a little bit. And congrats to that series for going out there and now giving NASCAR something to contemplate, I think.
Right. And, I was a huge fan of what was then called the Busch Series, like you said, racing on IRP. And I was kind of like, when they took that away, I was like, man, I really liked that track, and a lot of people did. And, a lot of the Cup drivers nowadays who were racing had a lot of success there, like Mark Truex, Kyle Busch, all those different guys who have won there. And, we've had some entertaining battles on the oval, in the last few years, but it's kind of been lackluster and when they moved it. But now that we have something new on the road course, it's going to be great for the first, couple of races until guys start figuring things out. That's kind of how it always goes.
Sure.
You don't know who's strong, who's not in the first couple of races. But, yeah, I hope, I wouldn't mind the Xfinity staying on there with the IndyCar, if they make that a yearly tradition, which would be awesome. But, Cup, I'm not really, too sold on that because then it just kind of becomes an oversaturation.
Well, all right. So let's talk about that because I actually had that written down. Or you know what? No, let's hold off on that for a minute because I've got the listener take. So let's talk because I'm with you in terms of road courses and adding too many being an oversaturation. So let's put a pin in that. We'll come back to that in a minute. Let's wrap up Xfinity here, though, and talk about Kentucky and a doubleheader Xfinity series. There's obviously been some critique around Kentucky in terms of lack of delivering from a racing perspective. Can the Xfinity guys go out there on back-to-back night races, Thursday, Friday night, and put on a show for the fans?
I'm not really too entirely sure. Last year, looking at the race results, we had 14 lead changes, but only Christopher Bell led 88 laps Cole Custer led 88 laps and Christopher Bell led 72 laps. So you really only had two guys dominating the whole race. So yes, while we had those lead changes, you only have probably like three or four guys that have the best cars out front. Now this year, like we said, there's no big three, and that there's a little more variety in the Xfinity Series. So who knows? Maybe probably Thursday night's show could be a great race. Friday night's show might be a little bit of a dud, or it could be vice versa, or both races could be that great just because we don't have that, other than Briscoe, we don't have that certain who's going to be the Final Four this year in the Xfinity Series.
Sure, yeah. You look at what happened with Briscoe back when they ran the double a couple weeks ago. He goes out and he starts 6 laps down, gives, who can step up, and that's kind of the thing, too, when you look at, when Kyle Busch goes out there and runs a truck race. If something happens to him, who's able to step up and then be able to say, hey, I want to race with Kyle Busch when he was out there on the track. So I think that definitely adds a little bit of excitement for sure. All right, sir, what do you say? You ready to talk a little Cup racing at Indy?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Indy, Brickyard, kissing of the bricks. 12 races since our return to racing back at Darlington back in May. And 7 of the 12 races have been won by either Denny Hamlin or Kevin Harvick. And ironically, these two have split doubles twice, each picking up wins at Darlington and Pocono. Denny Hamlin had this thing in the bag. Harvick was losing ground, getting massive pressure from Matt Kenseth. Harvick needed the caution to have a shot at this thing. He gets it with Hamlin's hard hit into the wall with a tire issue, which was a scary hit in of itself. But, man, what did you think about of the Cup race at at Indy?
I thought this year's was more exciting than the previous year because I don't know what it was. Maybe it was probably because we had no practice and no qualifying. But this year just kind of had a little more uptick in it. And it was just a lot more exciting. It seems like to me there was a lot more green flag passes for the lead. I mean, yeah, we probably didn't, get all that green flag passes in the back of the pack where it gets strung out a little bit. But, man, those dive bombs there from Harvick during the race, going into turn 3, and Hamlin doing that too. I mean, those are just, very, hold your breath moments.
He came out like a rocket on some of those restarts when he started, 3rd and 5th, man, and he made it look like he was taking candy from a baby the way he was passing those guys there. Yeah, no, 100%. If it wasn't, everyone knows I'm a Harvick guy, right? So if it wasn't for Harvick being out there, man, I was a big Matt Kenseth fan right there, and he just did not have any friends on that restart, which hurt him. He was surrounded by SHR, and the rookie Cole Custer with his best finish, who also gave his teammate and mentor Kevin Harvick the push that he needed to get cleared into victory lane there. But man, what do you think about Matt Kenseth?
Oh man, as media, we're not supposed to have favorites or cheer for a driver. But man, when I saw Matt Kenseth there on the final restart, lining up in his 4th position or something like that, I was like, man, how cool would it be for a 48-year-old to come back in 2020 and the McDonald's car has not won in 30 years? How cool would it have been for him, Matt Kenseth, to get his, I think, first win at the Brickyard?
Yeah.
And man, that would have just been such a cool story. And everybody would have been like, really? Matt Kenseth ended up winning? But still, it would have just been a really cool story. But unfortunately, like you said, he was surrounded, just looking at the results here, he was surrounded by tons of Fords there at the top of 8. And he had no, Chevrolet drivers. I feel like had he had a Chevrolet driver behind him, he probably would have had a better chance. But yeah, like you said, he just unfortunately had no help. But still came home to his best finish of the season. So hopefully that will get the team some momentum going.
Absolutely. And one of the things, when people say, it's a individual sport, it's not a team sport. This is an example, and I would go back and find on YouTube the final restart, and I would show somebody that makes that comment. I would show them the end of this race to show how manufacturer and teams play a role and can help the individual in the race, because if it wasn't for that, there could very well be a different finish. And so that's where, hey, it helps to have a friend on a restart late in the game, man.
Right, yeah. And, for a minute, had Matt Kenseth not been up there, how cool would it have been for Cole Custer coming out of the Xfinity Series? He came up a little bit short of winning the championship last year, I think. But how cool would it have been for him being a rookie and just winning the Brickyard on Sunday? That would have been a pretty neat story in itself as well. Absolutely.
Well, and like you said, it's coming up short. Kenseth there not having a Brickyard win yet, and I think they said on the broadcast that Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth finished 1-2 when Kevin Harvick won his first Brickyard back in 2003, which is, it's just crazy how history does repeat itself sometimes,
Oh, yeah, and I wasn't even thinking about it. 2003 is a lifetime ago, compared to today. And I mean, yeah, I was probably watching, but in 2003, and I was, but I just wasn't thinking about, could these two do it again, finish 1-2 with, Harvick out in front, or maybe Kenseth out in front. But yeah, it's just sometimes, it's just like driver rivalries, whenever there's a rivalry happens, then we see both of them in the back of the, truck right before starting grids, and when they go out to introduce,
absolutely,
say hi to the fans.
Absolutely,
So,
yep. All right, let's talk about the cluster bleep on pit road there, man. What'd you think about that? Crazy to see Blaney's crewman there. It looks like he's got a couple fractures, but looks like he'll be all right. But man, that hurt some playoff contenders for sure.
Yeah, when I saw that, at first when TV broadcast is kind of unclear, you can't really see anything at first. But when they showed the replay, I was like, man, he was kind of limping around a little bit, trying to get back to the other side of the wall. That way he doesn't get hit again by other oncoming traffic. So, just very glad he was okay. Like, he gave a thumbs up when he was getting helped and everything. So it was kind of at that moment, it was like, he's okay from that standpoint. But yeah, hopefully, he makes like a speedy recovery. And I think we're all kind of glad. That was, a lot of more cars were piling up there at the end of pit road. Is like, he could have been hit again, but just glad that he didn't, and glad looks like he will be okay. But hopefully he makes a speedy recovery.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. With you there 100%. All right, man. Here's what I want to do next to kind of wrap things up here. I posed a question to the followers of the show. I want to read some of their replies. I'll give my takeaway, and then I'll let you wrap things up to close it out. Sound good?
That sounds great.
Excellent. All right. So I posed a question to everybody. Should we run the road course? I know it was cliche. I caught it and labeled it as a cliche question, but I thought it was something that was necessary to wrap into the show. So let's see here. Matthew at CH9SE fan. Cup should stay on the oval and run a special package suited for Indy. It's a great race. People don't like it because it gets spaced out. I get that 100%. Kantian at Racing Cans. Let's do both. Friday night truck at the short track. Saturday Xfinity on the road course. And Sunday on the rectangle. Man, that would be incredible. Joey at Joey_CLT. I'd be in favor if they can find a logical place in the schedule to run the road course, but not replace the oval. There's a bunch of great road courses that could produce awesome racing similar to the Xfinity race. Hopefully, they can get that sorted out with Cup over the next few years. NASCAR Stir at NASCAR Stir. The road course was good, but I don't want to get rid of the oval. And just to highlight on Andrew Kantian, I got him down here twice. Road course because the over sucks, or the oval sucks. Hashtag 20%. I see what you're doing there. So here's my takeaway, guys. Remember when last year I said the circuit could handle one more road course without it being oversaturated? Here is where it could possibly be. And I'm going to piggyback back over to Matt and over to Joey. I don't necessarily want to lose the nostalgia of the oval Brickyard. I think there's history there, and it needs to be there. And to that, I say, let's see what the new package brings us before we go canceling the oval. And to that, I'm going to say I don't think there's going to be a way to be able to get the Cup to the Brickyard twice to be able to run the road course and the oval. So from that regard, let the Xfinity Series have their day. Let them be the race. Let them have the good, road course race. Hopefully that draws some fans. Hopefully the new package brings for better racing on the oval. Briar, what are your thoughts to close this thing out?
So when you were reading through the comments, I was thinking of some ideas, like in my response to all your, comments that you were reading. So this is going to sound crazy, but let's have a Cup exhibition race at the Indianapolis road course at the beginning of the season before Daytona.
Oh, see, wouldn't that be? See, I could get behind that. Why? I know we got the All-Star race coming up, and I have gone on many a tangent, so I'm going to give a short one here. I am not a fan of exhibition racing. I'm not a fan of exhibition games, regardless of the sport, stick and ball, NASCAR, whatever. I can't get behind it because it has no bearing on a championship, and it's all for prestige, individual accomplishment and money, which I 100% get. But I, as a fan, cannot rally behind that. So, I watch it because I'm going to talk about it. But yeah, let's, like you said, exhibition before Daytona, or hell, if we're let's rotate the All-Star race. Let's go back to Indy, run the Cup at the, whatever they want to do. If they want to work the road course in from a Cup perspective at Indy, I'm all for it. But on the same token, I don't want to get rid of the oval.
Right, and, we've grown accustomed to the Indy cars running on oval. Yes, they were there first, before NASCAR was, but when NASCAR came there in 1994, like 26 years ago, we've gotten accustomed to the oval. Yes, some of the races there have not, been that exciting or that great compared to the Indy cars, racing there on the oval, but there's just something about it. When Dale Jarrett did that in 1999, and now it's a tradition. I mean, yeah, we could still have, if the Cup would race on the road course, we could still have that kind of tradition. If they would win, then you could get some bricks. But it just, had that happen on Sunday, if we were racing at the road course, it wouldn't, feel right. It wouldn't feel right to have a race on the road course and then have somebody kiss the brakes.
Yes.
Compared to oval, you kiss the brakes, keep the tradition.
I'm with you.
It's just, so yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts about that too.
I am with you 100%. Briar, where can everybody keep up with you on social media?
So you can follow me on Twitter at Briar Starr TV, and then I think on Instagram it's at B_Star18.
Excellent. Lap Traffic Nation, huge thanks to Briar for calling into the show tonight. Briar, had a great time as always with you. Enjoy the rest of the season. Let's keep in touch, and let's do this at least once more. Maybe we can do a truck playoff preview or something like that, and maybe we can go driver by driver or something like that, have a little fun with it.
Yeah, you know how much I love the trucks, and I would definitely be down for that.
Awesome, man. All right, take care. Stay healthy. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, thanks.
Lap Traffic Nation, great to catch up with Briar Starr there. Love talking trucks, love talking NASCAR with him. Such a great guy. Met him through Aaron Studwell, actually, who will be on next week. Right now, though, it's time for a little social media. Everybody, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, Instagram, The Lap Traffic Podcast, TikTok, Lap Traffic PC, YouTube, The Lap Traffic Podcast, Twitter, at Lap Traffic PC. You search Lap Traffic, you're going to find it. That's all I got to say. Listen to the show, iTunes, Podbean. Hey, listen, I'm going to put a plea out here. It's been a minute since I've gotten a review. So if you're on iTunes right now, leave a rating. 5-star, of course. And that would be much appreciated. Got the giveaways going on. So close. About 100 followers away from giving away a Lap Traffic hat, T-shirt, stickers, koozies. Less than 500 followers away from giving away that rear quarter panel. Let's see. What else is going on? Oh, I mailed some stickers and koozies out today and got some new follower shout-outs on Twitter. Justin at JustinNet from Wisconsin, a NASCAR and Denny Hamlin fan. And here we go. This one's going to be interesting. Saskia at Sascat, and she puts on her Twitter account, I bet you can't pronounce my name. Well, how did I do? She's a NASCAR fan from Arizona. Scuba Steve at Scuba Steve 1315B. Welcome to the show, guys. Tell your friends all that good stuff. Don't forget, stickers and koozies are available for free. If you want one, just go to the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Fill out the contact page, and I will be happy to send one out to you. All right. It's time for a little weather. Let's get Mr. Brian Neudorff on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line for Take Two.
Take Two?
Yes. You can follow him on Twitter at NASCAR_WXMAN, along with Aaron Studwell at Race Weather. There we go. Unfortunately, he didn't get to enjoy the 4th of July at all, but welcome back to the show, Mr. Brian Neudorff. Sir, good evening. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yes?
I'm okay.
Good. Good deal.
Yeah, it's good. I think so. Sure. We'll go with that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So no barbecue for Brian, no hot dog, no ice cold beer. You just stuck in the office, eh?
Well, I don't, even if I was off, I wouldn't have had any of those things. I've been on a diet and regaining my metabolism, and I don't drink. I know I'm gonna already now. You have everybody just shut off the podcast when they heard of the weatherman. Trust me, there are people on Twitter that drive me close to drinking, but I haven't gotten to that point yet.
I believe it. I believe every minute of that. So yeah, well, I mean,
yeah, there's this one Lap Traffic Nation really just drives me. You talked over what I said,
Yeah,
but anyway.
I said you're trying to keep off the COVID-20, and I found the COVID-20.
It's called about balance.
Yes. Let's see here. It's been hot up here in Michigan, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. 90 plus.
Okay, woo, I wasn't sure where that was going. Knowing you, that typically starts by you saying something about the weather and then complaining about it.
I mean, it's hot, but I got air conditioning, so I'm okay with it. It ain't rain and it ain't snow, so I'm good. I'm good.
At least good.
I can go outside for 20, come in for 40. Go out for 20, come in for, it's all good up here, man.
All righty.
Yes. So let's see here. Indy. Everything, we got all scheduled distances in. A little slight delay at the start, but no big deal. But apparently,
it could have been. No offense, it could have been a big deal because I'm from the Indianapolis area. I remember back in the day when in the summer we were kind of central. We kind of did the. We were behind a little bit. We did the fall. We didn't change clocks.
Okay.
Back in those days, and of course the big happy hour was 5 and it got dark. They were pushing it on the daylight.
Yeah, they were. They were close. The last 2 weeks. That
they
second Pocono
were
race,
pushing it on the daylight. If I'm going to a track that has no lights, I'm just going to give myself a lot of time to get a race in, especially, summertime. Last time I checked, thunderstorms happen a lot in the summer times when it's hot and humid. I'm new to this,
right.
But
first timer.
I've just kind of noticed this trend over 40 some years. Just saying.
Yes. Yeah. That 4:00 start, man. The only thing I can think of is unless it took them legit from the drop of the checker to almost the start of the race to get that thing converted over from the road course back to the oval. But man, I'm hard pressed to believe that. So that 4:00 start, man, that's I'm confused. But I digress.
This is a situation where, number one, just so you know, when it comes to start times, people out there, Aaron and I have no control over that. So as much as you want to complain about it, we just do the forecast.
Yes,
we just do
independently
weather.
Independently too.
Yeah, I mean, there's collaboration.
Oh no, I meant independently from NASCAR. Like you're not tied to NASCAR or anything.
No, I mean, listen. People might say the bottom line. We want NASCAR. We have the same mission as NASCAR would want fans to have, and that is they want you to have a good time. They want you to go and that's what we want for fans as well. I mean, we do this because we are fans. We're not trying to hurt the sport. We want people who go to the race or make plans around the race to know what to expect. I mean, this year is a little different when there's no fans because but still people want to know. And maybe because there's no fans at the track, now people who are just spending time watching it, have nothing else better to do than to get on Twitter and, complain about the fact that it's summertime and I mean, and if you think about it, we have not really covered that much ground, because now next weekend we're going to be in Kentucky, not very far from Indianapolis. And the next weekend we're going to be, or the next race is in Bristol again, not very far. And when you're kind of locked in a pattern, which lasts about 2 weeks or so, you can get the same kind of weather over and over. So the downside about NASCAR is they haven't moved geographically from many places in this. They get the same kind of weather in a spell of 2 weeks or so.
That's a great point. The fact that NASCAR, when they came back and all that, they didn't want teams to have to get on airplanes, anything like that. They've wanted to stay as close to race hub as possible. So yeah, that's a great point that, hey, when you're in the same area, you're going to get the same kind of weather. So nice call on that one there, sir. Speaking of racing coming up this week at Kentucky, we got a doubleheader with the Xfinity Series. We've got a Thursday night, Friday night Xfinity Series race. We got a Saturday night truck race and a Sunday Cup race. How are things looking early on?
Like it's been. I'm going going to go blanket right now. I know we're going to come up here on Thursday. I mean, we're seeing across the Louisville, Kentucky area and up in that area, continued areas of showers and thunderstorms. That seems to be the trend. I mean, it's raining there now at the track as we record this. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, each day has a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. I would definitely don't call it a washout. I don't like to say that because, I mean, if people are, a lot of times you just need to pack some patience. But there definitely could be some delays. That's definitely an absolute, possibility. So I think a lot of that is what a lot of this comes down to.
Well, hey, at least, like you said, possibly afternoon. Fortunately, outside of Sundays, it's in the evening. So if it does rain. Evening blends into I mean, think about it. If sunset's 9 o'clock or whatever, yes.
Yes. When does evening start? I mean, are we talking evenings or is afternoon until sunset? Or most people would say after 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock is evening. So, and heat of the day, I mean, a lot of this activity starts firing up around between 2 and 4. And so, you could have delays and stuff like that. In some places, it can be raining for hours, and other places it can be dry as a bone. I mean, if you watch the radar at all or saw our radar posts, I mean, if those storms first of all, both Aaron and I were surprised that the track never got hit, just the trajectory of some of those showers. We're blessed that it didn't. And then the other thing that surprised me was people complaining about the lightning rule. Yeah. We were getting a lot of complaints regarding the lightning rule. Some thinking it was, stupid. And why is it 8 miles and they should race when it's not? It's safety. Okay, you don't have to be in the rain. Like I'm looking here right now, and I'm watching some storms on radar as I'm talking to you someplace else, and lightning is firing 4 miles away from the storm. No rain, but lightning is firing. That's why. If anybody's curious, Google bolt from the blue. Bolt from the blue. You'll get your answer why. Because thunderstorms, in fact, lightning can strike up to 14 miles away from a storm. So the fact that they're not going the full 14 and they're doing 8 miles, that seems to be universal in sports. I think it's a good thing. I mean, we've lost a NASCAR fan to lightning in the last 10 years. We don't want to have any more, let alone we don't want a fan. We don't want a crew member. We don't want anybody associated with the sport to have when it can be prevented. That's the thing. When we can prevent something, we don't want to have anything associated, that kind of thing. So we're 100% for the lightning rule.
Fair enough. Well put. Like that. I'm going to go Google that. I'll go check out what that is. I'm excited to see that. Well, sir, we will wrap this up with a little lapped traffic fantasy. So I gave Aaron a little hazing last week because you guys tied last week with different picks, which was definitely unique in that regard. And this week, you guys have now tied again with the same picks. So back-to-back weeks after going how long with flip-flopping and all that kind of stuff. The last 2 weeks you guys are tied. So now your record is 5-3-2 with Aaron getting the head-to-head nod. And so you guys are.
No, listen. I'm chalking this up to my rookie stripes.
Fair
okay?
enough. That's fine. But listen, you're tied in 9th in segment 2, so you guys still can make some noise in segment 2, and you both still have a realistic shot to make the playoffs here. So you guys aren't too far out.
For me being a newbie, I have to say I'm doing pretty well.
Absolutely, you are. Yes, 100%. So. I am excited to see with 4 races this week.
If you had Denny Hamlin crashing out while leading the race,
right. Yes, yeah, that was brutal.
And I feel bad. that always sucks. But you know what? There's I can't remember the name, but remember the rookie or whatever was leading the Indianapolis 500 and had something happen, tire or whatever, crashed, hit the wall right about the same place while he was leading the Indianapolis 500 with not very many laps left. So Indy can bite a lot of people. Ask the Andretti's.
Sure, absolutely. Yes. So, you guys are doing good. I'm excited with four races plus the all-star bonus pick at Bristol worth 15 points. You could be right back in this thing by the end of next week.
Well, let's hope so. I'm still getting this format.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else, sir?
No. I was trying to think of one way to make fun of you, but number one, I don't
mean,
need
it's really
to
easy.
really do it. You do that well on your own.
Yeah, I know.
No, I mean, first of all, I actually really appreciate all the fans who follow us, and most of them are kind-hearted, and most of them ask really good questions. Again, I will stress, I had a lot. Number one, especially when we're busy, and I don't mean to be this way, I'm not really good about checking my Twitter messages during busy race weekends because I just can't get to them all. Because I do get and it's typically the question is, are we really going to race? Like I haven't, that's the one I always find interesting. It's always like, you can tell me, are we really going to get the race in? It's like, you know what? Like I'm somehow holding back information.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not holding everything. I've been sharing right there, out there, all the fun stuff. So, no, but I mean, I joke, but everybody's wonderful. And, when I'm working and stuff, it's really hard to watch the race and give the time. That's kind of one of the reasons why I kind of pulled myself out of Patreon and stuff, because I just couldn't give the fans the same dedication I had in the years past. I mean, I was still able to update when I can, but the job takes priority. So
Absolutely.
That's when I'm doing that, I can't. But that's why Aaron and I work so well together. So everybody keep it up. Hopefully, best get well fast to Jimmy Johnson. And
that's crazy.
And of course, the crew member that got hit as well.
Yes.
We just want everybody to be safe. It's weird not seeing fans, but at least with NASCAR, fans, while they're great to have, they don't have, and I don't mean this, I definitely don't mean this in a disparaging way. While sometimes drivers might be able to hear fans from their cars, likelihood says not that much like they do in other sports.
Absolutely.
But here's hoping we can eventually find a version where this all works out. I didn't want to use the word that's commonly used. What is it? New normal. I hate that phrase.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
Maybe we will eventually get to a point where this all works out. That's what I'm going to say. I
sure as hell hope so. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, there you have it from Mr. Brian Neudorff, who you can follow on Twitter at NASCAR_WXMAN, along with Aaron Steadwell at Race Weather. Sir, great to catch up with you, and look forward to talking to you in a couple weeks, man.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll see ya. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, great to catch up with Brian Neudorff. And now it is time for this week's Lucky Dog and Lap Down picks. My lucky dog, how is it not? Kevin Harvick. Of course it's Kevin Harvick. My lap down, tires at Indy. Not nearly as bad as a few years back, as I'm sure you all remember, but tires were pretty bad this weekend. All right, let's get to your tweeted responses. Scott at 1985 Wagner's Lucky Dog Saturday Backward Indy Edition. Lucky Dog Chase Briscoe with the inaugural win at the Indy Road Course. Lap down, Brandon Jones got bad luck hanging around. Scott's Cup Edition, Lucky Dog, Kevin Harvick and Matt Kenseth with strong runs. Lap down is a tie between the Blaney crew member and Hamlin's out of nowhere tire incidents. I'm with you there, sir. Gina at Gina Loves JJ48, Lucky Dog, Kevin Harvick, because Hamlin had it in the bag before losing the tire. Gina, I cannot argue that statement at all, nor will I. Gina's lap down, Austin Dillon and Matt DiBenedetto for crashing on the last lap, ruining the great days both were having, finishing outside the top 10. CJ at CJ LaPearl's Lucky Dog Kenseth. What a run for those guys. Lap down, Truex. What a disaster of a day they had. Rowdy at the Rowdy Dragons, Lucky Dog Kevin Harvick, running strong all day. Too bad Keelan isn't riding shotgun to the winner's circle. That's awesome. I was there at Michigan when that happened. Lap down for Rowdy. Tires and Indy just don't work well together. No, they do not. Eddie at Eddie _EG3's Lucky Dog Matt Kenseth. Best run of the season since Darlington. That was so fun to see him battling for the win. A lap down, the pit road blunder featuring Truex, Allgaier, and others. Man, that great call there I really didn't even get into that with Briar about Jimmy Johnson and Justin Allgaier there. I'll probably save that for next week with a special guest that you'll just have to tune in to the end of the show to hear who that is. All right, let's see here. Colin at Colin_with_cars. Lucky Dog is the road course on Saturday. I haven't been on my edge of my seat like that since last year's 500. Lap down tires. I don't think that's what you're supposed to blow up on the 4th of July. That's funny. I like that, sir. Jess at Iowa NASCAR fans, Lucky Dog, SHR for putting 3 in the top 5. Also, Michael McDowell for a solid top 10 in the 34 car. Lap down, big crash on pit road. Wadded up a lot of cars that it did. Mick at GoDucks, 42_Mix, Lucky Dog. Harvick got it done. A lap down, right front tire failures. Roger at ROJODI's Lucky Dog. Harvick lap down Steve Phelps and his 80% who love this package. The high downforce lead to numerous tire problems. I'm pretty confident that's where Mr. Andrew Cansian gets his Twitter name from at the 20%. David at DFlint14's Lucky Dog. SHR as a whole, 1 Saturday, 3 cars, top 5 Sunday. The only race Tim Fedewa hasn't won since leading Talladega was Harvick's second at Pocono. Lap down JTG Racing, both taken out thanks to the pit melee and falling back in the pits. Those are your tweeted responses. Let's get to your calls on the Waiver Round Hotline, and let's kick things off with a new caller. I'm very excited about this.
Hello, my name's Kevin Hahn, and my Twitter handle is at the TheHaunestTruth, the Honest Truth. And I'm a first-time caller, and I started listening to the podcast a couple weeks ago, and so I'd call after that race. My lucky dog would be Cole Custer getting a top 5 and helping his teammate win yet again, which leads into my lap down pick, which is parity in NASCAR. I love NASCAR. I love watching every week, but it seems like there's only a few guys that will win all the time. I don't know how to fix that, or I'm not expert or anything, but how do we get more people involved winning? I know at the end there we had Matt Kenseth, Austin Dillon, a few different people that were up at the front, but how do we get them to win? I don't know if you can expand on that or not, but yeah, I love the show. Love listening every week. Looking forward to hearing your response if I get on. Thanks. Bye.
Hey, Kevin, thanks for being a first-time caller. Appreciate it. Please feel free to call in anytime, man. Love to have fresh new voices on for sure. Hey, so listen, I know where you're coming from as far as parity in NASCAR there. I think that's one of the reasons why people are begging and clamoring for more road course races as well as more short tracks, because that gives some of these teams that don't have the resources the ability to maybe go out there and let the driver put the car somewhere on the track versus, the car just having speed from unloading and, the driver just having to, hammer down the pedal in the corners. Obviously, it's a little bit more difficult than that, but I think that's one of the reasons why everybody wants more road courses and short tracks. And to be fair, as much as I'm not a big fan of the plate racing, but that's a reason why I think a lot of people do like plate racing outside of the excitement that it provides. But again, that also are opportunities for some of those smaller, underfunded teams to have an opportunity for that top 10 or top 15 that they're not going to get at a place like Atlanta, Michigan, Kentucky, where we're going this week. So I think that's about what I got for you on that. Thanks again for calling in, and look forward to hearing from you again soon. Let's get to the next call on the Waiver Round Hotline.
Hi, Brandon. It's Matt at Camper News Net. Absolutely an incredible weekend of racing at Indianapolis. With the Indy cars and Xfinity Series on the road course in the same day, and then, of course, the Cup Series on the oval today. Absolutely, I thought an incredible weekend, and, hats off to NASCAR and IndyCar for working together to pull this whole thing off. this weekend. So my lucky dog, as I mentioned, is going to definitely go to the weekend. NASCAR and IndyCar on the same track for the first ever time in history at the same venue in the same weekend was absolutely incredible. And it took the COVID-19 to put this together. And hats off, I think, to NASCAR and IndyCar for this incredible weekend of racing at Indy. I really am hoping to see this partnership with NASCAR and IndyCar going forward. And I hope to see more of these NASCAR and IndyCar weekends together at the same track in the future. And my lap down this week is going to go to the pit road collision that happened. It was so unfortunate. Martin Truex was involved in it and just wrecked his day. He's had a bad season so far. It's just in such bad luck for Martin this year so far. And also Justin Allgaier with the news of Jimmy Johnson. Justin Allgaier getting in the car, filling in for Jimmy, and he wrecked out. It's just so unfortunate this weekend to see that. So anyway, enjoy your week as always, Brandon, Lap Traffic Nation. I'll talk to you next weekend after Kentucky. Thank you so much, Brandon. Take care. Bye.
Oh, Matt, thanks for calling in. And you hit it on the head there, man. Just how awesome. NASCAR IndyCar crossover doubleheader. You mentioned, props to NASCAR IndyCar. I think we'd have to add Roger Penske to that as well there, because it was a three-way entity that put that together and allowed that to happen, which is, like you said, it was incredible. Would definitely love to see more of that down the road. I don't see how crossover events are bad. It gives people a greater opportunity to come to the race. Maybe an IndyCar fan who isn't a diehard NASCAR fan might leave a diehard NASCAR fan, or vice versa. Might make the stands a little bit more full, give people a reason to tune in for double headers on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon. I am all about it. All right, let's get to a longtime Lap Traffic listener, Miss Kathleen.
Hey, Brandon, it's Kathleen at KHI Fan. I really liked the Xfinity race on the road course, and I was actually kind of glad that Tony Stewart backed out of racing it, because I think it would have overshadowed the regulars running it for the very first time. That ending was absolutely fantastic. I thought that was a lot of fun. And I can't believe Chase Briscoe. Holy cow. Can he back up a statement? 5 down, 3 more to go, and he nailed it. As far as the Cup race, I think that race should stay on the oval. There are other road courses that are perhaps better suited for them, maybe Road America or Road Atlanta. And I just think that the Cup race there is a crown jewel event, and I think it ought to be left. My lucky dog this week has to go to Kevin Harvick. He's just on fire. He was able to overcome a little bobble there, and he just really showed where that team is going this year. I was really happy. My lap down has to go to the teams that pushed the envelope with the tire setup, with Denny being at the very tip top of that list, and it looks like it cost him the win. So that's on the teams anytime they have those tire issues, I feel. Otherwise, I think it would have happened to more teams or more drivers across the board than just the few that it did. So that's why I think that's all on the teams there with how far they're willing to push it. Anywho, I think that's all I have for now, and I will talk to you later. Bye.
Oh, Kathleen, thank you for calling in each and every week. I am with you there. The road course, it was great, and I loved it, and I wouldn't mind seeing a Cup one. If they wanted to add, which means they're going to have to take away from somebody else and go to Indy twice, which probably isn't going to happen for a Cup road course and to keep the oval. I'm torn. I'm with you there. The oval, the Brickyard 400 is like iconic, and you'd hate to take that away just because, So, but on the other hand, the excitement level of the road course was there. I'm with you. I feel what you're saying there for sure. All right, let's get to the last call. You know who it is. It is the voice of the Wave Around Hotline.
What's going on, Brandon? Lap Traffic Nation, voice of the Wave Around Hotline. The 20% calling in. Another subpar race with the wonderful 550 package that 80% of the fans seem to enjoy. I won't really go too in the mud about that, but I'm very excited for New Hampshire coming up in over a month. So we can finally see some big motor, small blade racing, which is the best racing. Go figure. I don't count the All-Star race because, honestly, I'm just not an All-Star race game person in general, so whatever. Glad they're using the juice cone, though. Definitely Team Juice Cone for me. Honda Indianapolis, tire issues. Wow. I tell you what, those tire issues took a lot of playoff contenders, made their road to the playoffs a little bit more difficult than Eric Jones. He's actually below the cut line right now, which in a Gibbs car, and for someone on the hot seat, it's going to be really tough for him. I think Eric's a good driver. I think he's going to be just fine in the Cup Series, but the results haven't quite been there just yet. So he might be on the hot seat here in the off season. So Eric Jones is going to be my lucky dog, lap down, I should say. My lucky dog in the race is going to actually be Clint Boyer. He's one of the only bubble drivers who didn't have any issues. The Benedetto and Dillon crashed for, that was going to hurt those guys. But, they're still above the cut line, believe it or not. And unfortunately, with Jimmy Johnson's illness, I'm obviously hoping the best for him, his two daughters, and his wife. Hopefully, I can't freaking talk today, man. Holy shit. Hope to see Jimmy back in a race car real soon, happy and healthy with his family. That's going to make things interesting. If I was NASCAR, I would have done something a little bit different for like a COVID list, kind of like baseball's doing with the COVID DL, but, that's what they're going to do, so it is what it is. I think Kentucky's next week. My expectations are incredibly low for that race, and I hope we see some good racing no matter what. Hope everyone enjoyed their 4th of July. Talk to you later.
Mr. Andrew Cancian. Listen, I am with you there as far as the tire issues there causing some problems for the playoff contenders. Eric Jones below the hot seat. That's not the first, or in the hot seat, potentially below the cut line. Not the first time we've talked about that over the years. That seems to be common. I agree. I think he is a good driver. I just think the level of talent in the top 16 is somewhat strong. Maybe top 12, as we've had this debate before many a times as well. You mentioned Benedetto and Dillon there with their issues. Hopefully Matt D can rebound with some of the short tracks that we got coming up. Road courses hit Daytona towards the end of this thing again as well, and get him back in there. And of course, Jimmy Johnson for sure. Cannot wait to see him get back on the car. What a year to announce retirement, then the whole COVID thing, and he's out and debates if he should come back one more full year, then decides, nope, this is going to be it. And now he's off, man. Just somebody that deserved an incredible send-off like Jeff Gordon got a couple years ago with the fans and the attention. Jimmy Johnson obviously deserving of that, and just not getting it. Maybe he'll come back on the circuit next year as just an appearance at each track or something like that, just to be in front of the fans and all that again. Who knows? But all right. Thank you, everyone, for calling in, your tweets, all that good stuff. That is going to do it for this week's A Lucky Dog and a Lap Down Picks. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, you guys came strong with the Lucky Dog and Lap Down Picks this week, but right now it is time to close this thing out with a little Lap Traffic Fantasy. Just a reminder, get your picks in by midnight on Thursday this week. Yes, Thursday, because of Wednesday, midnight Wednesday, because of the Thursday Xfinity race. Keep the Twitter interaction up. Week 2 of segment 2 is in the books. 3 players swept the weekend with their picks of Briscoe and Harvick That was Fred Leclerc, Mick Rose, and Kim James. So you're going to hear from Kim here in just a little bit. Weekly high were Fred, Kim, and Mick with 113 points. Matt Crowd and Paul Hollenbach in second for the weekly high with their picks of Harvick and Allgaier. My picks of Allgaier and Kyle Busch got me 86 points. And that said, I thought I was still in first place. However, I forgot to add the scores of last week's caller in, Mr. Brad Carnes, which knocked me out of first into second place. So here are our top 10 for segment 2. In first place with 261 is Brad Carnes. In a three-way tie for second with 254 is Mick Rose, Fred Leclerc, and myself. I didn't drop too bad. I'll take it. In third with 245 is Paul Hollenbach. Two-way tie for fourth. In fourth with 241 is Matt Crowd. Eric Zalen and Jess Rose have a two-way tie for fifth. Brian Hall with 226, along with Stephanie Borges. Then we have a two-way tie. I've really got these numbers messed up. Jason Dickus is in seventh with 225. Matt Kemper, Joe Hewson, and have a two-way tie for ninth. And then Aaron Studwell and Brian Neudorff wrap out the top 10 there, so to speak. I definitely got those numbers mixed up there, but that's somewhat of your top 10 there. Cumulative standings. And first is Joe Hewson, Jess Rose, Richard Cravens, Kent Dolphy. Wrapping out the top 5 is Matt Crowd with 1232. We've got Matt Camper, Chad Robb, Mick Rose, Brian Hall, and Andrew Cansey. And wrapping out the top 10. And then the questionable ones, will they make it, will they not? We've got Crystal Smoke, David James, Toby Christie, Jason Dickus, Stephanie Burgess, Brent Morris, John Warrington, and yes, I jumped from 19th to 16th in the standings. It is not a comfortable place being in 16th. So we'll see if I can keep this trend up. I highly doubt it. All right, let's get to this week's picks. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. She was one of the leaders in last week's weekly high with her picks of Kevin Harvick and Chase Briscoe. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Kim James. Kim, what's going on? How are you?
Hi, Brandon. I'm doing really great. Thank you for inviting me on the show. This is quite an experience for me. I'm doing good.
Well,
Thank you.
Awesome. I'm honored and happy to have you here. How was your 4th of July? Any fun barbecue, family, fireworks? Anything good?
Things were pretty quiet. They shut down, the local fireworks displays, but there were some things going on in the neighborhood. So we got a little bit of a fireworks show, but for the most part, it was kind of quiet.
Awesome.
How about
that's
you?
Good. It was great. I had a small COVID-friendly gathering, as I like to call it. So
there you go.
Good.
There you go. Things have changed, haven't they?
Absolutely. Yes, they have. What did you get to cake in any of the racing this weekend? Indy, Xfinity Cup?
I did. I watched that in Xfinity race, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching them race on that road course. A lot of good racing done. The end was just fantastic. I thought Briscoe really put the move on the Dinger and Cindric there at the end to win that. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to watch.
It was incredible. I'm with you there. I think Chase Briscoe is definitely making a name for himself early on in his career there. And to go out there and to take one away from Dinger there, who's, someone we'd call a road course ringer. That was a lot of fun to watch for sure.
Yes, it was. It was. Like you said, and even during the broadcast, I think Junior mentioned it. He's got it. He's got the talent to make the next step, I believe.
I don't know what it is, but he's got it.
But he's got it. That's right. That's right.
Kim, what do you say? You ready to make some picks for Kentucky?
Sure.
Let's
do it.
Right. Lap Traffic Nation, we are headed to Kentucky, which guess who does not have a win at Kentucky? That would be Mr. Kevin Harvick. Could he go back-to-back and end another winless streak at one of the last few places he does not have a win? I think it's just Kentucky and the Roval left. Ford, though, has not done so well since our short time running at Kentucky, which dates back to 2011. Ford only has 2 wins. Keselowski back in 14 and 16. Chevy only has 1 win, and that's last year with Kurt Busch. I'm sure you all remember that epic brotherly battle with Kurt and Kyle last year. Toyota, though, Toyota has 5 wins. Martin Truex Jr. with back-to-back wins in 2017 and 18. Kyle Busch with the inaugural win at 2011 and 2015. And Matt Kenseth back in 2013. Who can ride the horses to victory lane? We will find out this weekend. But first, it is time for our picks. Kim, I'll start with you. Who is your pick for the truck race?
For the truck race, I had to take a look at it. Got a couple names, kind of looked at Justin Haley a little bit, but I think I got to go with Stuart Friesen.
Stuart Friesen, solid pick.
Yeah.
Solid
I'm looking at his numbers and he's improving. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with him in the truck race this week.
I like that. You're so far so good. No lap traffic curse. I went with Austin Hill, so we haven't matched up there yet, so that's good. We got 2 Xfinity races coming up. Who is your pick for the first Xfinity race?
Yeah, I was looking at Xfinity, and there's like 3 drivers that I really struggled with on this one. But I think for the first one, I think I'm going to have to go with Briscoe.
All right. So am I. I'm like, why not? Let's go back to back. Let them get another, check mark off the list there of things to accomplish.
Yeah.
So I too went with Briscoe. I contemplated going with him for the second Xfinity race, but I'm going to stick with Ford. I'm going to go with Austin Cindric for the second one. Kim, who is your pick for the second Xfinity race?
Cindric would be a good one. And I thought about going, with Briscoe in the second one too, but I think going back to back is just going to be a little bit too hard. So I think I'm going to go with Noah Gragson in number 2.
Excellent. Noah also having a pretty solid year this year as well. We'll wrap things up at Kentucky with the Cup on Sunday. Who is your Cup pick?
Well, like you said, you gotta look at those Toyotas. I think, they haven't had the power, that some of the other automakers have had, but I think at Kentucky you got to look at the Toyotas, and I think I'm going to go with Truex. I think he's going to do it.
Solid pick.
Yep.
Hopefully he can rebound after that pit road blunder.
Exactly.
From this past weekend.
Exactly. He's had plenty of time to think about it.
Yes. I am going with one of the Fords that would probably be the only favorite, and that's Brad Keselowski. I contemplated Kyle Busch, but I used him already, so I realized I couldn't take him. So I am going with Brad Keselowski. And Kim, since the All-Star race is next Wednesday, let's get that pick from you as well. Who is your pick for the 15-point winner-take-all there for the All-Star race?
I didn't, other than, Briscoe, I kind of stayed away from my Fords this weekend. I gotta have somebody, I gotta have a Ford somewhere. So I'm going to go with Joey Logano for the All-Star race.
I like Joey. And just to remember, lap traffic fantasy players, the All-Star pick does not count towards your picks for your driver selection. So I am going to take Kyle Busch for the All-Star. Maybe the All-Star race can get him out of his funk there a little bit. Kim, don't forget to send your picks in. Thank you so much for calling in. I hope you have a great week, and maybe we'll get to talk to you soon.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you, Brandon. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 190 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Like on Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast. Follow on Twitter, @LapTrafficPC. Subscribe, download, iTunes, Podbean, all that good stuff. Don't forget about the giveaways. Big thanks to Briar Starr, Brian Neudorff, and Kim James for calling in tonight. Next week, really excited about this, Sherwin from the PETM Podcast will be on, and the countdown to episode 200 continues. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Make sure you tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!